Welcome back for another episode of A Woman's Strength, empowering stories from struggle to triumph. This podcast is a platform for women to share their stories of struggles and share the end of being victorious. Ladies, sharing your story is twofold. It helps you to remember where you were at and how far you've come. And it also helps other women know that they can make it through. They know they are not alone. I'm Rosita Perez, your host, self discovery coach, and realtor. I get to help people find their way home, whether home is buying or selling real estate, or if home is finding the core of who you are. Today, my guest is Mahara Wayman. You guys are in for a treat. She's so full of energy, she's so full of passion, and you'll find out why. She is the founder and CEO of Mindfulness with Mahara, and she's a global speaker. So give me a minute and let me get Miss Mahara up on stage here. There she is. Hi, Mahara.
Hi, Rosita.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for the invitation. I feel so blessed.
Oh, that blesses me.
There you go.
Now, the struggles that we face are so real. And sharing our stories, as well as how we found the strength to move forward, is a testimony for ourselves as well as women, right? Because, in those days, we don't feel like we can make it through. And we're like, that's it. I'm checking out, right? There are those days. I know I've had them.
Absolutely.
So today, Mahara, I am going to ask you some questions about what your struggle was, and I'm so looking forward to your story because you're such a great storyteller, and I know that it will bless the women who are listening. So let's just jump into it.
All righty. It's interesting because you say what the struggle was, and I'm like, as if there's only been one. Seriously, I feel as I've gotten older, I am more willing to look at things in my life, recognize them as being difficult. In the moment, I kind of ignored it, and that's just the way things are. But now that I'm doing the work that I'm doing, I can truly say I have, despite, being very fortunate and blessed and, great friends, great family, great opportunities, there were still so many struggles along the way. And especially in my world today as an entrepreneur, I feel like I'm facing struggles daily, truthfully. So, which one do you want to talk about? I got lots.
I get it. It's so many. Which part of my life struggle do you want to talk about? Let's talk about one that's kind of global, whether that's with children, with just accepting who we are.
Okay, when I was climbing the corporate ladder, which I found myself doing unwittingly, I didn't realize I didn't I didn't mean to climb the corporate ladder, but I kind of got a taste of of validation and success, and I loved it. So I'm like, okay, I want more of that. But as I was climbing the corporate ladder, there came a time when I didn't feel as happy as I thought I should be. And I really didn't understand why until my daughter called me out for my behavior. And truthfully, she's done that many times, and I'm okay with it because I've raised her to be that type of person. So I'm fine with it. But when this happened, I was watching TV with her. This is my youngest, and I had my laptop. I was, doing all of these great things at work, and it was nighttime, and an email came through, and I turned my back on her as she was talking to me, and I opened up my laptop and I answered the email, and I didn't think anything of it. Literally, it never occurred to me that that could in any way hurt her feelings or be disrespectful or just be inappropriate at 9 o'clock at night. Until I turned back to her and she was, "Mother," and I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "You turned your back on me. Like, what is so important that you would turn your back on me?" And Rosita, I was devastated because I thought she's right. What is so important? And I laughed it off. I'm even getting emotional thinking about it. I laughed it off, and we went back to watching some kind of, reality show probably. But that was the beginning of me questioning, what am I doing? Who is this person? My children are everything to me. And I behaved like this without even realizing it or giving it second thought. So the struggle that opened up to me was the struggle for me to speak my truth and be okay with setting boundaries at work. Because what I learned to do in the months and years after that was to say, I don't actually answer emails past 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and feel okay with that. At first, when I said it, I didn't feel okay with it. I thought, oh no, they're not going to like me. Oh no, this is going to hurt my chances for moving up. Oh no, who am I to do that? And of course, today I'm like, who am I to not do that? So speaking my truth, even if the truth felt uncomfortable, was a real struggle for me because I had spent so many years, I don't want to say pretending, because I didn't think I was pretending, but I spent so many years dampening down my instinct and just doing what I thought I needed to do to be successful or to be valuable to other people.
So, Mahara, you mentioned so many great points in what you just said. First of all, of course, you need to be successful in your work, and the fact that it's hard for women to be in a prominent position. It's hard for women to get to that point a lot of times. And then when we get there, we have to triply hard keep it. And then being fed by the validation, and it's almost like an addiction in a sense, right? We're like, I want to look good. I want to look good. And then you talked about mask. I mean, I think that once we get to be adults, we start maybe even in teenagehood, right? We start wearing different masks to fit in
Mm.
because we are not clear of who we are. And so we want to be liked. That's just human nature. And then the most important is when your daughter called you out. And by the way, I have a daughter like that as well. And I always say I raised her to be a strong woman, but I didn't think she'd use that on me.
But how great is it, though? I want to just jump in here. How great is it, though, that we were able to raise our children in a way that they felt safe enough to call us out? Because that does take guts. I have never called out my mom. Are you mad? Like, you just didn't do that. You
No.
may say to your girlfriend, "Oh, I'm so mad at mom," or my parents they pissed me off. But
Right.
I think, I just want to congratulate both of us that we were able to raise children that felt secure enough in their worth to perhaps go against their parent in some way. So that's a good thing. But yeah, it was an eye opener.
Yeah, and I commend my daughter as well because she brought a lot of things to my attention, and I was so stubborn. I was still stuck in how mothering should be from my own how I was parented. And it didn't fit well with her. And she, bless her heart, she kept quiet for a long time. And then she got to be an adult. She's like, okay, no, these are my boundaries. I'm like, what are boundaries? What's that? I had no idea. But she really saved our relationship. And the fact that I was growing at the same time really just kind of melded together. It's been an amazing blessing. So kudos to both of us for being able to not just raise strong women, but to fall back and have retrospect of what they're saying and check in on ourselves.
Mhm.
It's a two-way street.
Absolutely.
Going back to the internal battles that you struggle with. So there's limiting beliefs, right? And self-doubt. Your daughter kind of opened your mind because here's the thing, when our kids say something, they're our pride and joy. And sometimes that's the only thing that makes us change, right?
Yeah.
Because what if she never said that to you?
I would, who knows? Yeah, no, who knows? Well, I do believe not only are I believe this, not only are my children my pride and joy, but they're my guides. There's a reason why they chose me to be their mom. There's a reason why we are going through this particular experience. And I'm here to support them and to help them learn things, and they're here to support me and help me learn things. And that was a big realization as well, that that mothering is all relationships are a two-way street. That's what makes them robust and strong and beautiful. If it's just a one-way street, you do what I say and then be quiet. That's not communicating. That's not a real relationship.
Okay, so let's get back to, because we could talk about that all day long. So tell me, Mahara, when she told you that, and then you opened your eyes, you opened your mind, you're like, okay, what am I doing? And you begin to reevaluate everything. What one specific action did you take to change your direction?
Well, funnily enough, what began after that was I began in meetings at work admitting, or with my boss, and asking for clarification. Because up until that point, I never really admitted if I didn't understand something. I just worked doubly hard to figure it out on my own. But I began to ask for help, admit that I didn't perhaps understand, and I even began saying no. And the world did not stop turning on its axis when I said no at work, or even when I said no to my kids, or even saying no to my husband. So the more I began to, just sort of set boundaries and put my foot down and be myself, the kind of easier things got. And that still continues to be a lesson that I'm working on today, is that life doesn't have to be as hard as I make it. Despite all of the growth I've had, I still fall into, oh my God, it's got to be my way, and it's got to be hard for it to be considered successful, or for me to consider that I've been a success. If I've overcome, look at how great I am, I overcame this big drama. But life doesn't actually have to be that way.
No, it doesn't. So, but what in you took that step forward? Because that takes guts. I totally understand that you don't want to say anything, that you want to find out on your own. But what was it, do you think, in retrospect, that made you take that step to say, I don't, can you give me more clarification on what you need?
Combination of things. I have always been into self-development books. So I've always read and listened and, had great conversations about life. But I think it was my willingness to look at my spirituality and really listen to my intuition. And when I stopped pretending and trying so hard, I remember thinking, oh, where did that come from? I'm okay. It's okay. Like, I just kind of had this feeling. And of course, now in retrospect, I know that the universe was supporting me, and I had people whispering in my ear, playing, saying, oh my God, you're amazing. Just say it. Just say it. It's okay. So I think it was a willingness to look for help. I was surprised that most of my help has come from within, or from my beliefs, my spirituality, my intuition, because that is the help. And I'm not discounting, believe me, I've had lots of my own coaches. I read, like I say, I read lots of books. I've got mentors and people that I look up to, dear friends that support me along the way. But I truly, it's my faith.
That's where it has to be. I mean, there is a higher power. It's been there forever, and for me, that's Jesus, and he has always carried me through, even in childhood. When I reflect back and go, wow, how did I make it through that? And it's humbling. And when you are in a humble place, you are more open to receive. So I want to touch upon something that you said. How you took the step forward was that you listened to your intuition, and then you decided to move forward. Sounds like your inner strength was being built up, or even introduced to you.
Yep.
I'm going to say introduced, because a lot of times, maybe even women in our age group, we weren't taught to trust our intuition. And we weren't taught to be vocal and really take care of ourselves. That's just a generation. I'm not blaming anybody. I like how you were open and you were ready to receive. You were willing to do the work to take the next step forward in being a better Mahara.
Yeah.
So kudos to you.
Thank you.
So, what things do you do today to maintain that being empowered and facing any internal battles that come along?
Well, the first thing really is to be aware of when the doubt comes in. And rather than pretending that it's not there, like pretending I don't actually feel scared, I still get quiet. I still sort of withdraw into myself because the emotions can be overwhelming. But I think the biggest change, and ladies, if you've ever been there, just know that it's okay to feel that way. There's nothing wrong with you for being scared or being disappointed or being frustrated or being disillusioned. I mean, there's lots of things, lots of ways that I know I have felt even recently, and it is okay. So that's the first thing is I remind myself that it's okay to feel this way. I am a spiritual being having a human existence and be the best that I can be, and some days will be better than others. So the first thing I do is I sort of feel it, accept it, and be okay with it. And then, what's really interesting, usually within 24 hours, I don't feel that way anymore. Something's happened. I'm super excited. I'm like, it's all good. This happened and that happened. But in the past, I would choose to stay in that period of, I am not good enough. I don't have my together. What am I doing here? And now I don't stay there, right? In fact, I don't even often get to that place of self-recrimination. I feel the feeling and I'm like, okay, wow, that was uncomfortable. I'm not feeling so good today. I think this is a chocolate day rather than this is my life. And that to me has been a big difference. Did I answer your question? I can't even remember now.
Yes, absolutely. And I totally resonate with that because I used to, when stuff would happen, I would just like let it paralyze me.
Mm.
I would stay in that dramatic, stressful moment and I couldn't do anything. And the emotional, as I gained my emotional intelligence, I'm like, wait, I can do something. Like Mahara, I stayed in Victimville a couple of decades. And I always joke around like I was president for decades. I was the president of Victimville. I would have my own pity parties and began to be a joke when I was younger, like, oh, can't talk today. I'm having a party. And they're like, you having a party? Yeah, a pity party. I
I
need
love
to
it.
be alone. But now as I gotten older, I'm like, wait, no, just like you. I can manage my emotions versus my emotions managing me.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think
love that.
one of the biggest lessons I've learned recently is just because I feel it doesn't make it true. And the first time I heard that, I'm like, What? It didn't quite make sense to me. It was like a different language. But as I work with my clients and as I work with myself, I realize I can feel not worthy. I can feel this uncomfortableness. Oh, I didn't do well. Oh, I didn't. Oh. But that doesn't make me unworthy. That doesn't make me bad. It doesn't make me a poor accountant or a bad business person. It just makes me human. It doesn't make me anything, actually. It's just a thing. And that's an ongoing support for me, is recognizing that just because I feel it doesn't necessarily make it true, right? And the other thing that really resonates with me, and this again has been a fairly recent aha moment, is nothing is about me until I make it about me. And I had a coach. I have a couple coaches at the moment, and one of them said that to me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I think, what? And it makes so much sense now. If I'm having an issue with someone, right? If somebody hurts my feelings, oh, that guy, that my best friend just said something and, blah, blah. It's not about me until I decide that it is about me. Because I could just as easily recognize, oh, she's coming from a place of real hurt. And that's a reflection on where she's at. It's not a reflection on the gift I just gave her, for example. But that understanding, I think, takes a phenomenal amount of trust and belief in ourselves, and an understanding that even if we make a mistake, or even if we behave poorly, that doesn't make us a bad person. It's all kind of intertwined, but I love this idea. Number one, just because you feel it doesn't make it true. And number two, nothing is about me unless I make it so.
Yes, and back in my younger days, I took on that spirit of rejection and taking everything personal. Like if somebody looked at me wrong, I'm like, "What? They don't like me?" Like, and then I'd wear it.
Yeah.
And I have this running joke where it's like, "Take that fur off, because that does not look good on you, Rosita. It is not the color for you."
Yeah.
But I like what you said, because we have to feel our feelings. That is imperative, but not stay in them.
Yeah.
Feel them, understand you're human. Heck, sometimes, you say chocolate, I say ice cream. I'm like, nope, it's ice cream day. That's it. I'm going to Baskin Robbins, getting me my favorite ice cream, and just sitting in the parking lot, eating it like when I was a teenager, with
I love
nothing,
it.
no care in the world, because this too shall pass.
Yeah. One of the things that's really helped me, and I would leave this or share this as a tip. I'm a writer. I love to write, and I think words are beautiful. Whenever I struggle to be me, to sort of sit with my feelings, now I get curious and I try to name the feeling. And I realized something. When I was younger, I only had like three things. I was either happy, angry, or embarrassed. Those were kind of my three things. But now I'm like, okay, I can be ecstatic, hopeful, or if it's the flip side, I can be disappointed, disillusioned, embarrassed, afraid, lonely. Like there's so many different words to describe how we're feeling. It's one of the things I've shared with my children as well is if they say to me, if I ask them how are things going and they're like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not, there's so many words in the English language. Let's get really clear. How are you? Like, what are you feeling? And I know that it helps me when I can be very clear on what I'm feeling. The minute I get clarity, it's like any of the heaviness goes away. It's like same idea that when you take action against a fear or towards a goal, that fear around it kind of dissipates because you've taken action. And I think the same is true for when you understand what it is that you're feeling, and naming it is a great way to do that. It's almost lessons. You're like, oh, okay, I get it. Why am I disappointed? And you just get clarity. And then you're like, okay, I understand it now. I don't need to be concerned, or I don't need to feel this way anymore because I figured it out. And I'm done with that.
Yeah, I love that. The thing is that before we got to this point, right, the emotions controlled us and we reacted
Yeah.
and just spurred out whatever we were feeling. Nowadays, I stop, take some time to process it, check myself, like, why would I take that personal? That wasn't even directed towards me. And if I'm still struggling with it, then I go into prayer and say, Lord, give me the words to speak to this person, because I'm coming from a place of curiosity. What happened that day? Let's talk about it. And it smooths so many things out, where before it would be like, dukes up, let's go.
There's a difference. We can either react or respond. And reacting is instant, it's visceral, it's like, but to your point, when we take a breath and go, okay, let me think about this, then we have the opportunity to actually respond, which is usually a gazillion times better than just reacting.
Yes. And that's a beautiful thing in the work that we do, is self-discovery. When you do those steps, you start to get to know who you are, and then eventually fall in love with who you are, not in a conceited sense, but in a sense where you're building a foundation and you can live from that authenticity and take the mask off.
Yeah.
There's like a glow that comes when you have that, and I'm not saying that we ever arrive, right? But there's a difference from, okay, I do want to do that, or, I appreciated your invitation, but I'm not interested in doing that, versus going just because.
Yeah.
to not hurt somebody's feelings. There's a big difference. And when you build that foundation by doing these steps that Mahara is talking about, discovering who you are connecting with the core of who you were created to be. And that is the best place that you can ever be.
100%.
Mahara, this is the best part of my podcast here. I want to hear the victory, the triumph
Oh,
of all the struggles that you have been through. Where are you today and how have you grown from what you went through?
well, thank you for asking. And when I was going through, when all of that sort of came to a head, I was known in my world for myself as being this amazing daydreamer, right? I've got the best imagination. I was going to do this and do that, and all of these things. I kind of had two separate realities, right? One was my daydream world, and one was my corporate world where I just did what I was told and kind of was pretending. But in my daydream world, I was the real me. Like I was standing on stage, I was writing books, and I was doing a podcast. I didn't actually know about coaching at that point. I didn't have that vocabulary, but I was out making a difference in people's worlds. And now I'm so excited to share that I'm doing all of that. And even though I know, thank you, even though I still have, believe me, I still have those days, I am so clear that I'm doing the work that I'm meant to do in this lifetime. So I am an author. I wrote my first book 2 years ago. It's called Essential Insights to Living Your Best Life. It's a sweet little book, personal stories and lessons that I've learned within them that I think are quite relatable. I am the creative director of my own podcast. It's called The Art of Badassery. And I talk to amazing, badass people, mostly women. I just interviewed my first man because I'm passionate about sharing not only stories of people that are feeling this alignment and connection, but also spreading the word that honestly, you just need to put your hand on your heart and say, I matter to be badass, because so many of us are not able to even do that. So I'm a podcaster, an author, and I'm also a life coach. So I currently help female entrepreneurs with all of the inner stuff so that they can more easily navigate the realities of being CEO of their own business. And believe me, everything that I teach, I have learned the hard way. None of it has come, oh, I'm just going to read that book and learn this lesson. All of it has been tears, self recriminations, reaching out to friends in the middle of the night, asking for forgiveness that I wasn't able to execute this thing. You name it, I've been there. But today I'm feeling very connected with who I have been all along. I've had to unlearn a lot of things. I've had to really delve into, with joy, the fact that it is okay to make mistakes and it is okay to ask for help, whether it's help from a book, help from a person, help from my husband, my children, or God or universe. Universe kind of resonates a little bit more with me, but everything is okay. And I'm happy to say that I'm sort of doing my dream. All these years later, I'm like, oh my God, I am doing it. Oh, I do. Yeah, I do talk in front of people. Oh my gosh, I do have a podcast. Wow, yes, I'm doing it.
No, I resonate with that and I love it. And I love it because you're the perfect person to do everything that you're doing and you do it well.
Thank
So I
you.
just want you to receive that because a lot of
Thank
times
you.
we don't receive that
Yeah,
validation. Not that we need it, but it's nice to hear.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, Mahara, women are listening, and maybe have struggled with the same things that you have struggled with. What would you say to them to help them take the next step?
That's a great question. First of all, I would say, sweetheart, you are not alone, right? Just look at me. Look at me. Look at Rosita. We are two shining examples of women that have faced their fears and their demons and made and taken action anyway. But then I would say, what what do you want to have happen? Because sometimes I meet clients that even though they've reached out, they aren't even clear on what they want the result to be. So it is okay to take time to question what is it that you want from seeking help. So clarity is everything in my world. And if they need help, if you need help in getting clear, there's lots of people to help you. Rosita is an amazing coach. She's supported me so much on my journey. I support women on their journey. So reach out and just ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out. If you're getting the niggle that you want to make a difference in your world, there are a lot of people that are here to help you one way or another.
And I just want to add to that, it doesn't matter what age you are.
Oh, of course not.
Nope. I just hit 63 in April, and I am moving forward, understanding that I have more years behind me than I have in front of me, but being able to live, do, speak, think the way I have been created to be is outstanding. Mahara, we have about 5 minutes left, and I want people to be able to reach you. So how can they reach you?
Okay, well, thank you. I am known by Mindfulness with Mahara. That is my business name. So that's also my handle on social media on all social media is Mindfulness with Mahara. But just check out my website, www.mindfulnesswithmahara.com. And you can book a complimentary badass breakthrough session with me. You can DM me on social media just with any questions or thoughts that you have.
Awesome. Before we close, I want to thank you, Mahara, for being so open and sharing your story. And I believe women are going to be touched, and seeds are planted where it's like, I remember Mahara said this. I remember Rosita said this, and I can do it. So, lastly, I want to invite you all to go to my website, movingforwardforlife.com, and schedule your complimentary clarity call. Take this time for you. This is the time for you to gain clarity on what your challenges are, because a lot of times we don't know what our challenges are. And also get one hot tip to help you move forward. It's all for you, all about you. So I want to end by saying, and I know Mahara agrees with me as well, that we want to remind you that you are not alone. I pause because I really want that to sink in for you. You are not alone. And you have the power to choose the trajectory of your life. You have the choice. So choose you and move forward to your dreams, your passions, and live a life that's fulfilling for you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Mahara, for joining me. And we will see y'all next time.
Thanks, Rosita.
Bye.